Oh yo-yo rice, good morning. That song used to make us smile. In St. Paul College, Madame Oyoyo was a legend. Her jollof rice was gold. We fought for it, begged for it, saved pocket money just for it. After prep, students would rush like prisoners released from a cell, chanting her name. She was the only food seller allowed inside the school gates. Nobody questioned it. Not the teachers. Not the students. Not even the parents. The explanation was simple: Madame Oyoyo was the principal's best friend. While other food sellers were chased away, even on visiting days, Madame Oyoyo walked in freely. She entered the girls' hostel, joked with senior students, sat comfortably in the staff room, laughing like she owned the place. Some students joked that she must have been an old teacher. We didn't know she was something else. Something far worse. The deaths started quietly. A girl here. A boy there. Students dying peacefully in their sleep. Doctors blamed stress. Teachers blamed exams. The school blamed weak immune systems. But the truth was darker. Madame Oyoyo didn't just sell jollof rice. She collected stars. Every student who ate her food gave something away, unknowingly. Their brightness. Their strength. Their destiny. While they slept, calm and helpless, she came for what she was owed. No one ever saw her enter the dormitory. No door creaked. No footsteps echoed. Yet every morning, some students woke up drained. Empty. Sick. And when she wanted more, she took lives, without ever laying a hand on them. Why? Because every year, Madame Oyoyo and the principal performed a ritual. A secret exchange. One year, the principal would sacrifice one of her own children. The next year, Madame Oyoyo would give one of hers. Blood for blood. Life for life. They had done it for years. Until the year the principal had nothing left. Her daughter died during childbirth. Her son vanished without a trace. When it was her turn to give, she had no one. So she made a different offer. Take the students, she told Madame Oyoyo. Use any method you want. That was the year Oyoyo Jollof was born. She would say, it will enter your bones. And it did. Every morning, Madame Oyoyo entered the school singing. Oyoyo rice, good morning. St. Paul student, how you day rise? Students couldn't wait for break time. They ignored food from home. They craved her rice. Parents began to notice. On visiting days, they arrived with coolers of food and bright smiles, but left uneasy. Their children looked wrong. Not just tired. Not just stressed. Dim. Some couldn't concentrate. Some barely ate. Some stared into nothing while chewing food. The principal always smiled. It's exam season, she said. They're studying hard. Most parents believed her. But not Mrs. Eyre. Mrs. Eyre was from Port Harcourt, loud, sharp-eyed, fearless. Her daughter, Amarka, was in SS2. When she saw her child, her heart dropped. Amarka was thin. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook trying to open a water bottle. What's wrong with you? Mrs. Eyre asked. Nothing, Mummy, Amarka whispered. Just tired. Mrs. Eyre knew better. Her daughter used to be lively. Sharp. Full of jokes. This girl looked like a shadow. Mrs. Eyre turned to the smiling principal. What is happening in this school? Just books, the principal replied calmly. They're preparing for exams. Mrs. Eyre nodded slowly. But she didn't leave with worry. She left with fire. That same night, something changed. Rita, a girl in the dormitory, didn't eat jollof that day. Not because she was sick or fasting, the food simply smelled wrong. While others slept, Rita lay awake. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Soft. Slow. Repeating. At first, she thought it was a hostile prefect. Then the footsteps stopped. Right beside her bed. The footsteps came closer. Rita quickly turned to her side, shut her eyes halfway, and pretended to be asleep. Her heart was pounding so loudly she feared it would give her away. Then she saw her. Madame Oyoyo. She entered the dormitory slowly, her feet never touching the floor, whispering words Rita could not understand. The incantation was soft, almost gentle, but the air changed instantly, cold, thick, heavy, as if the room itself was holding its breath. Right before Rita's eyes, Madame Oyoyo began to change. Her face cracked and folded, dry like old mud. Her body bent unnaturally. Her fingers stretched, long and thin, and her eyes, they were no longer human. In seconds, she had transformed into something ancient and terrifying. Her teeth were long and sharp. Her fingernails curved like knives. Her wrapper dragged behind her, leaving a dark trail on the floor, one only Rita seemed able to see. Madame Oyoyo moved from bed to bed, whispering softly. Each time, she placed one long finger on a student's forehead. Only the students who had eaten the jollof rice that night. As her finger touched their skin, a faint gray smoke rose from their heads and floated into a small black pot she carried. Rita was shaking. Her body refused to move. Her chest felt tight, like she couldn't breathe. When Madame Oyoyo reached Rita's bed, Rita almost screamed. She grabbed her blanket, pressed it against her mouth, and bit down hard. Tears streamed silently down her face. Madame Oyoyo stopped. She sniffed the air. Her head tilted slightly, as if listening or sensing something. Rita's heart nearly burst. Then Madame Oyoyo turned away. She didn't touch Rita. She didn't take anything. Rita hadn't eaten the rice. When she was done, Madame Oyoyo whispered into the pot, turned around, and walked out, vanishing the same way she had entered. It took Rita over an hour before she could move. When she finally sat up, she looked around the dormitory. The girls were still sleeping peacefully, their faces calm, unaware of what had been taken from them. Morning came. The dormitory was quiet. Too quiet. Normally, girls would be shouting, fighting over buckets, accusing each other of stealing sponges, rushing late for morning devotion. Not today. Those who had eaten the rice moved slowly, like shadows. Their eyes were dull. Even the noisiest girls barely spoke. Rita sat on her bed, sweating. She couldn't unsee what she had witnessed. She thought of telling the matron, but what if no one believed her? What if they said she was imagining things? Then she remembered how Madame Oyoyo paused beside her bed. That sniff. That slight tilt of the head. She almost knew Rita was awake. What if she already knew? By afternoon, the news spread. Amarka had fainted in class. She was taken to the sick bay, but she wasn't responding. Her eyes were open, yet she wasn't blinking. She didn't speak. She didn't move. That night, after prep, Rita broke school rules for the first time. She sneaked out. Quietly, carefully, she walked toward the small bungalow near the school gate, the one parents used during visits. It was almost empty. Almost. One woman sat outside, her head buried in her hands. Mrs. Eyre. Amarka's mother hadn't left. Rita didn't know where the courage came from, but she walked straight to her. "Ma, have you heard what happened to your daughter?" Mrs. Eyre looked up slowly. Her face was tired, but her eyes were sharp. Rita told her everything. The jollof rice. The night visit. The transformation. Mrs. Eyre went pale. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she spoke quietly. "Go back to the dormitory," she said. "I will handle this myself." Rita ran back, her heart racing, careful not to be seen. She reached the dormitory door and was about to slip inside, when a figure stepped out of the shadows. The principal. "Where are you coming from?" she asked softly, arms folded, her face cold. Rita froze. I was in the toilet, Ma," she stammered. "Which toilet?" "The one near the fence. I felt like vomiting." The principal stared at her. Too long. Then she smiled, a thin, empty smile. "Go and sleep," she said. "I don't want to see you walking around at night again." "Yes, Ma." Rita nodded quickly and slipped into the dormitory. Her legs felt weak, like they no longer belonged to her. She crawled onto her bed and pulled the blanket over her head, her heart still racing. Moments later, she heard footsteps outside. Then voices. Low. Urgent. Inside the staff quarters, the principal picked up her phone and dialed immediately. "Don't come tonight," she said sharply. "Why?" Madame Oyoyo asked. A student was outside. "I think she saw something." "Who?" "She lied," the principal replied. "But I saw it in her eyes." There was silence on the line. Then Madame Oyoyo clicked her tongue slowly. "Let's walk around," she said. "I want to see something for myself." They moved quietly through the compound, watching, listening, alert. That was when they saw it. A car. Driving out through the back gate. No lights. Quiet engine. Slipping into the darkness. Madame Oyoyo and the principal stopped. The car didn't belong to the school. They both knew it. "Someone is interfering," Madame Oyoyo whispered. "We're not safe," the principal replied. The next day, Rita avoided Madame Oyoyo completely. She didn't greet her. She didn't go near her food table. And whenever their eyes met by accident, Rita looked away quickly. Quietly, she warned her closest friends. "Please, don't eat the rice." "Why?" "Just trust me. Please." Some laughed it off. Some listened. But Rita never told anyone what she had seen. Saying it out loud felt dangerous, like calling something into existence. Then, that afternoon, everything changed. Amarka's mother returned. This time, she didn't come with smiles or food flasks. She came with two men. Her face was hard as stone. She walked straight into the staff room. "I want to take my daughter home," she said. "She's not stable," the principal replied calmly. "That's exactly why I'm taking her to a real hospital," Mrs. Eyre snapped. "She's in our care. We have rules. Then break them." The principal tried to stay composed, but her hands trembled slightly. "You can't just show up like this, Anne." "I will not leave this campus without my daughter," Mrs. Eyre said firmly. "And if anything happens to her, this whole school, including the press, will hear about it." The room fell silent. Even the teachers pretending to mark scripts stopped writing. The principal forced a smile. "Let me speak to the nurse." But her eyes were already darting around the room. She knew the damage had begun. As she stepped out of the staff room, her face stayed calm, but her mind was racing. Mrs. Eyre had gone too far. She had refused to leave. She had made threats. Worst of all, she had her phone in her hand the entire time. Texting. Calling. The principal had barely taken 5 steps when she heard it. Bang. 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 The school gate shook violently. Then the shouting started. "Open this gate. Where is my son? Let me see my daughter now." The principal froze. Outside the gate stood parents. Not 2. Not 5. Almost 30. Cars were parked everywhere. Some parents had climbed the wall. Phones were raised, recording. Voices were angry. Desperate. Mrs. Eyre had told them. She had taken their numbers from the school WhatsApp group and contacted them privately. She told them what was happening at St. Paul's College. The principal didn't wait. She turned sharply, slipped past the staff building, and hurried toward the far quarters behind the kitchen. Madame Oyoyo was already there, standing quietly, her tray of jollof rice beside her. "They're here," the principal said, breathless. "Who?" Madame Oyoyo asked. "The parents." "We don't have time." "How many?" "Too many." Madame Oyoyo nodded once. "Then it's over." They didn't argue. They didn't hesitate. They slipped through the narrow back path beyond the fence, the bush trail only a few people knew about. No bags. No calls. No goodbyes. They vanished. At the gate, confused teachers finally opened up. Parents rushed in. The school erupted into chaos. They ran toward the hostels. Inside, some children lay weak on their bunks. Some stared blankly at the ceiling. Some couldn't even sit up. And for the first time in years, St. Paul's College was wide awake, facing the truth it had ignored for too long. Some students were pale, unable to speak, unable to stand. Others lay with their eyes wide open, completely empty, as if their minds had already left their bodies. Then the crying started. It shook the walls. Mothers collapsed to the floor. Fathers shouted in rage and disbelief. Some parents dropped to their knees, begging for answers, begging for explanations no one could give. Teachers searched desperately for the principal. She was gone. They rushed to the kitchen. Madame Oyoyo was gone too. There was nothing left to hide. By evening, the story had spread beyond the school gates. By the next morning, St. Paul's College was shut down. Government officials arrived, sealed the compound, and locked the gates permanently. Investigations followed. But the two women had vanished. No passports. No phone records. No bodies. Nothing. Some said they fled the country. Some believed they used charms to erase themselves completely. Others swore they were still alive, moving quietly from town to town, school to school, waiting for the next set of children. And even now, when the afternoon sun is hot, when the wind carries the smell of firewood jollof rice, people lower their voices and whisper, "Madame Oyoyo Jollof has come again." The end.